Sometimes I do a tiny bit of quantization when I'm a little tired, like 30%. Never 100, because you want that human touch. And then you add bass, gradually. You can add the bass. This one's not the best bass, but I'm just going to use it because we want to see. So we'll go to chromatic. I always do chromatic. You have more control. You can add. Yeah, my name is AG, is an artist name. Born and raised in France, Paris. Mommy Italian, dad American. 12 years in New York now. Came 2009 when I was 18 with like 3,000 euros. Been working on music for a little while. I used to do jazz, gypsy jazz guitar. And now it has developed and evolved a lot because my intention is like, gypsy jazz is the most fun to play on the guitar, but it doesn't necessarily make people dance. I want people, even if the music is simplified like funk or disco, which is less complex and complicated, if people get up and they start dancing and it makes them happy, then mission accomplished. Oh yeah, there's a bunch. For trumpet, I love Lou Donaldson. For house music and stuff, I love Yuksek or Yuksek, whatever you want to pronounce it. It's a more modern guy, but he's the one who helped me a lot to get more electronic influence. Because a lot of electronic, you can tell that there's not that much musical skill, or they sample stuff from people who had musical skill, but it's just not cohesive sometimes. And with Yuksek, it really feels like it's a musician that decided to do electronic. And he was a big influence too, as well as Houseum, the label, Django Renoff for Gypsy Jazz, but Angela DeBar is my favorite Gypsy Jazz player of all time. I love Dave Brubeck too and all that jazz stuff. That's also a big influence in me. But for the electronic part and production, often I'd say Yuksek was a big influence, yeah. Because I wanted multiple things. I first wanted, I wanted culture shock. I wanted transportation. I wanted no immigration issue. And so New York, because London is not that much culture shock. It's still European.
Right.
Then Australia wasn't feasible because I didn't have a passport, but I have US passport. And then LA, I couldn't go because they don't really have subway, and I've never driven in my life. Like I only use subway. So it became New York, and I visited once when I was 16, just for 2 weeks, and I was like, yeah, I'll just try it. I'll just try it. And also, I like how Paris is international bit, and New York is even more international. Queens alone has over 800 languages, so it's super impressive. It's like that was difficult because what happened is that I grew up in France, and the French don't see me as French, the Americans don't see me as American, and the Italians don't see me as Italian, because we're not any of those completely. And then we moved to Germany, so no one understood me. I couldn't fit in anywhere, and I started to clash with kids a bit. I started to act out as a kid, and because we had problems with the family too, another thing. So all I did, every class, every year, is put my headphones and just draw. And with the languages, I developed a good ear, and every music teacher I had, they always told me I had a good ear because I helped with the languages and stuff. And for me, music is just another language. It's just the most universal of them all. Makes you feel good, supports you, never judges you, it's always there for you. It's very, very, very selfish, when I do music. Because when you're in it, there's like, when you do it, there's no wars, there's no famine, there's no problem, So for me, it's like a little place of isolation to like recharge, feel good, to spread good energy. And that's the whole point of funk music I want to do, is spread good vibes, make people feel good, make them want to dance, make them want to move. And I don't know, it was like my friend. When I was in a country where I didn't speak a language, and I was a bit of a messed up kid. So for the live set, usually what I do is it's so complex because I sometimes even for recording use this one as well. Because what happens is I have my drum machine, right? And if you want to mix, you need everything to be different. You need each on a different track. You can't have the drums all together. You have to have the kick, the snare, the hi-hat, you know. So I divide them on a group, and then I control the group through this. Because if you have the drums, it's already 8 channel. Then you have all the other instruments, it's 16 channels. And it's too much to control when you're live. So I do 1 channel for all the drums, and then I divide the drums onto this. So like this is all the drums, for example. But then I can control the kick, the snare, the hi-hat, and I MIDI map everything. MIDI map, it means I select this button and I tell the computer, this button does this effect. So this is to record the lives especially. But otherwise, I use this as a main control, the same as like FKJ and a lot of the other artists, the Akai APC40, it's really good. And then one of the biggest things that I started to use electronically to detach myself from acoustic, because I used to do purely just acoustic, was this baby. It's the drum machine. Wow. Okay. This was a big breakthrough on how to use electronic gear and stuff. And I mean, 2 years ago, I didn't know how to produce. I didn't even know really about synth much and stuff, but I wanted to have as many sounds as possible. So before me, what happened is I was doing music and I realized if you want to be good at it, you have to do a lot of it. And I want to do a lot of it, but New York's not free, right? You got to pay rent. So I was working for other like jobs and stuff, and I realized.
What did you do?
I was a walking tour guide, and like a tour guide, I'm a licensed tour guide in New York. I love history a lot, but you have to work too much to get too little money, because there's not just the equipment that's expensive, but the time itself, and also you have to learn about everything, and it can take a while. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own business, because it's the only way you can have enough time and enough money. Right. With my business, I started to like really get things going. Also had a daughter, so I had to make more money, you know, pay for the family. And eventually, like right before the pandemic, I had my business on autopilot, and a lot of places wanted me to play there because I wanted to take my own tour company, my own customers from the tour company to the bars that I was playing at, because we did bar tours and nightlife tours. And so I started first, I only had this, and I didn't even have this computer. I didn't even have this interface. I had a different interface that's less potent. And that's pretty much it. And then I just, during the pandemic, dove into this and learned so much and expanded everything, basically. And but I learned a lot during the pandemic, but I try to learn every day. And the way it affected me was just I had more time to really just do this, basically, and learn more about production and other things, percussion, like all sorts. But you know, you gotta make the most of whatever you got. Be happy. You know? One of my favorite places before COVID was Public Records.
Oh,
yeah, they have such a good sound system. I saw Theo Parrish there live, like other great like 80s house, and it's just unpretentious for what it is. I feel like it looks really like it could be a place that's pretentious and trying to build up hype, but they're humble about it. It started as a record store, and like it was a cafe records, and like they expanded. Now it's like they have a club downstairs. You also have some food. But it's like, yeah, it's a huge place, and they could be arrogant and like everything like other places that look like it, but they're not. They're humble. They're about music, and the artists they get there, they're phenomenal. And you can tell it's artists that like the music. They don't go there because the pay is just also, it's like a good music vibe environment. You know, it's
so
not.
They have all kinds of music. Like what kind of music?
They do a lot of house, and they do especially a lot of 80s house, old school house. Stuff that influenced me, because I wanted to merge electronic with some jazz stuff, because some of the jazz stuff, the production is really old. It's beautiful music as content, but the production is old, and now we have new types of sounds. We control sound way more since very, very, very recently. I mean, we really started to control sound technically only really by the 80s or so with synthesizer, maybe 70s a bit too, but it's so new that I wanted to revamp and refresh and merge kind of the thing that makes you move from house with the melody that sings your heart from jazz, and try to merge the two, you know.
Tuesday.
Me
on
too. Thank you. Honey's
May
awesome.
11th.
May 11,
So
be
can you
there.
maybe explain why you gonna play? Like, what do you bring?
Yeah,
what
so
we can
basically,
expect?
I'm gonna bring a good amount of the gear here, but I'm still assessing a little bit because it depends on setup and other things. But I have, as a mothership, kind of almost is the drum machine. This controls like the drum and how it goes. Controls the whole session, so I can control the volume of each session, the send effects, and other things. This is what to play keys. I can have some effects on this too, and the synthesizer, it does ambient sound a bit. Sometimes I use it to record bass sound, and the microfreak. This thing is wonderful. I've seen so many people use it from every caliber, every level, from experts to beginners. It's like so versatile and it's worth the money, and this is great for sounds. And so this is for the ambience, this is for the drum, the main beat, this is for the harmony melody, and then I add the bass with this or with this.
How we can categorize your music? How we call your music?
Well, right now, to be honest, it's like I guess you could say like funk house or like like kind of house. It depends. Sometimes I do deep house, and I think every artist doesn't do just one category of music.
Right.
The ones who really produce a lot. So I'm even tempted to do like Rick Martinez. He actually has two different artist names because he does two different genres. One that's sound modulation now, and one that's sampling. And I'm thinking I can do one that's more funk and house, and one that's a bit more deep house. And the jazz stuff I play for myself with friends, and it's completely different. But those are the three main drivers, like funk, disco, house, jazz, neo soul I like too. So, because right now there's so many genres that it popped out so quickly because all this technology's been evolving so fast that you have a genre that exists like this, and then it exists for like so quickly new ones that just appear nonstop. So
We're very excited. Thank you so much, AZ.
my pleasure. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Love you all. Be there. Enjoy the music. Spread the love. Thank you so much.